Welcome into Trifecta Sports Talk, PawSox all-time roster. Today's all-time roster position is starting pitching for the Pawtucket Red Sox. Obviously, there's no baseball going on right now due to the COVID-19 threat or fear of spreading the virus. So Major League Baseball, Minor League Baseball suspended indefinitely for the 2020 season, and 2020 season happens to be the final season at McCoy Stadium for the Pawtucket Red Sox before they moved to Worcester in 2021. So, since 1973, a lot of talented players have come through the doors of McCoy Stadium, and quite a number of really talented starters as well. I just wanted to put this post that I've written and have posted in context in terms of why some guys were selected over guys who were not selected for the starting rotation, and there's a lot of honorable mentions as well. But the way I looked at it was, I wanted 6 players. I know 6-man rotation isn't common anymore in baseball, but there's a lot of talented pitchers over the 50 years at McCoy. I looked at it. He had to start 20 or more games or 100 plus innings in a single season. So a bunch of talented pitchers like Roger Clemens wouldn't hit that threshold. Wasn't there long enough to hit it. Some various other reasons. I looked at it that way. There was one pitcher, Hector Velasquez, who is an honorable mention, but he came up just short of hitting it in one season. But this season was so spectacular that I had to mention him on the list. And versus a guy like Clemens, Clemens barely pitched at Pawtucket, even though he's in the PawSox Hall of Fame. Didn't really pitch for the PawSox because he was just so talented that he was ready for the big leagues. And some players are like that, and you see that more often now in baseball, where you can have a player like an Andrew Benintendi or Rafael Devers who essentially skips that AAA step. In case of Benintendi, skipped it altogether. Devers spent basically, Kevin Bowles, the former PawSox manager, called it, I think it was a haircut, in terms of just there long enough to get a haircut, and that was it. So baseball has changed. Guys don't need to log as many innings in the minor leagues. Some guys do. Travis Shaw was a guy that played a long time in the minor leagues and finally broke out and became a solid big league player. So some guys need that experience, but baseball has changed over the years. So my starting 6: Oil Can Boyd, Dick Pole, Bronson Arroyo, Anthony Renato, Jeff Supan, and Brian Rose. Dick Pole's not a guy a lot of people have probably heard of. Old school ball player, played in 1971 when Pawtucket was actually a AA team, and then came back in 1973 when it was a AAA team. That was the first season it was a AAA team. They won the Governor's Cup that year, and he was the ace of the rotation at a 2.03 ERA, 12.9 record, 182 innings of work in 23 starts. That's 8 innings on average per start, 16 complete games. That was an International League record for the season, and he also led the league in ERA, and he was the most valuable pitcher, all-star team. So Dick Pole would be the guy I'd punch in. Based on what I've seen, and going back through the record books, Dick Pole's 1973 season might be the greatest season by a PawSox starter in the team's history. He did return in 1974, but only pitched 66 innings with a 4.09 ERA. Major league success, not a lot there for Dick Pole. 531 innings of big league work, but a 5.05 ERA. Bronson Arroyo. This is another guy that you looked at and you sort of the success that he was able to have in the major leagues. I mean, almost 2,500 innings in the major leagues, 4.28 ERA, 16 big league seasons. But in 2003, he was a solid pitcher for the PawSox. He had a 3.43 ERA and 149.2 innings of work, 24 starts, 155 strikeouts. He tossed the second complete game in the franchise's history. That was on August 10th in 2003. 101 pitches, 9 strikeouts. And following that perfect game shortly thereafter, he was actually called up to Boston, where he pitched 17 and a third innings, 2.08 ERA, and kind of helped them make a postseason run. They didn't win the World Series that year, but Bronson Arroyo was a solid pitcher for Boston, and then long time for the Cincinnati Reds and some other teams as well. But he was the IL MVP for most valuable pitcher, not most valuable player, most valuable pitcher in 2003. Helped the PawSox win the IL North Division title. Solid season. Oil Can Boyd, another player that made my list. 16th round draft pick in 1980. He's still around McCoy now and has spent a lot of time helping the minor league players. I think his official role is like an advisory capacity, but had 4 seasons with the PawSox, 3.67 ERA, 30 outings, 20. Yeah, he had 4 seasons with the PawSox. His best season was 3.67 ERA and 30 outings, 25 starts, 179 innings pitched. He was a strikeout machine. Struck out a ton of batters. He had 11 plus strikeout performance for the PawSox. Had a 15 strikeout game, which was the franchise record. He did that on 2 separate occasions. He did have big league success, about 1,400 innings of big league time in 10 seasons, 4.04 ERA in the big leagues. And that 1983 season with the PawSox, he struck out 129 batters and 122 innings of work. Oil Can Boyd, great starter. Jeff Supan, this other one you kind of forget that he was actually a member of the Boston Red Sox organization, because most of his big league time came after he left Boston in 1997. The expansion draft was picked up by the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's had over 2,500 big league innings in 17 seasons, but way back in 1996 he was with the PawSox, and he posted a 3.22 ERA and 145 in the third innings pitched, 10-6 record, 142 strikeouts. Solid pitcher, solid big league career. Anthony Renato was a first-round pick in 2010. Never really got off the ground in terms of a big league career or longevity, but in 2014 he had a great season with the PawSox, 2.93 ERA, 138 innings of work, struck out 111 batters. Parts of 2 seasons with the PawSox, he had a 17-5 record. That 14 season, he won the IL Most Valuable Pitcher. He was an all-star, led the staff in wins, ERA, and strikeouts, and at one point he had 9 consecutive wins in a row, which is impressive. Brian Rose is the final starter here at my 6. In 1997, he posted a 17-5 record. That 17 wins is the most in franchise history to this day. 190.2 innings of work, 27 outings, 3.02 ERA. Former third-round pick. He was actually New Bedford, Massachusetts native. I think he still lives in the area as well. He had a 23-10 overall record in 4 seasons with the PawSox, 6.96 winning percentage. He's a top 25 prospect following that 97 campaign, but had 284 innings of work at the big league level across 5 seasons with a 5.86 ERA. Some honorable mentions: Charlie Zink, parts of 5 seasons with the PawSox. I almost put him in my starting rotation, but the problem with Zink, that his career ERA in AAA was a 4.57 and almost 500 innings of work. His best season was in 2008 at a 2.84 ERA, 174.1 innings, 14-6 record, 28 games. Had 3 seasons with the PawSox with over 100 innings of work. So this was a sort of a career minor league player. Never really had that big league success. He did get his MLB debut in 2008, predominantly because of that success he had in Pawtucket that year, but gave up 8 earned runs and 4 1/3 innings of work for Boston. And the following year, 2009, he actually led the PawSox in actually the entire International League in terms of hit batsmen with 30, and that's actually a franchise record. So Henry Owens is second actually on that list. So not very good company for Charlie Zink. Hector Velasquez just missed this cut too. 2.34 ERA in his first year with the Red Sox organization. 119 innings of work. 94 batters struck out. Issued 35 walks. All 19 starts he had with the PawSox came in 2017. So he had some other moments where he did play for the PawSox in parts of 3 seasons, but 2017 was predominantly with Pawtucket, and based on the 19 starts, wasn't enough to cut my list, but 2.34 ERA is very consistent for a long period of time for the PawSox, especially in the middle of that season. Aaron Sell was another player that barely missed the list. He had a 1991 he had a season with the PawSox in 1993, 2.19 ERA in 94 in the third innings pitched. Across 14 starts, 87 punch-outs, 23 walks that year. Former first-round pick in 1991. Good pitcher. Had about 2,000 big league innings and a career WAR of 20.1. Turned out to have a pretty good career. John Lester misses the cut, but Lester's just been an incredible pitcher all around. 3-time World Series champion, 5-time All-Star with the PawSox. He had 2 seasons with the PawSox and posted a 7-9 record, 3.42 ERA, and 118 in the third innings pitched and 25 starts. He was fine with the PawSox, but where he shined in his career was really in the postseason. In the postseason, 2.51 ERA in the major leagues, 154 innings pitched. In the World Series, he has 35 2/3 innings, 1.77 ERA. John Lester's a Hall of Famer, probably the best pitcher in terms of quality to come through McCoy, and have the career that he did to come through McCoy. Doesn't make the starting pitching list from the PawSox because he never had one season with the PawSox that was so good where you'd say plug him in. But the fact is, if I were to take into account the post-PawSox career of John Lester, he's the guy you plug in on opening day. But that's not the reality of this analysis. Clay Buchholz was an honorable mention. Buck played parts of 7 seasons with the PawSox, which is insane. This was a guy that earned Cy Young votes in 2013 with the Red Sox before he went down with an injury. But he had a 2009 season with the PawSox, where his most complete season with the PawSox in terms of pitching for them. He had 99 innings of work in 17 outings, 16 starts, 2.36 ERA. His career PawSox record was a 12-8 record. 1,300 big league innings. This was a guy that's just been set back by injuries and some mental things and some various other factors. But that 2013 season with the Boston Red Sox had 1.74 ERA and 108 innings of work, 12-1 record, and 16 starts. If he was healthy for the entirety of that year, you're talking Cy Young. Buchholz, in terms of pure talent, might be the best PawSox pitcher I've ever seen. I didn't see a guy like Dick Pole or any of these other older players, but in terms of a pitcher that I saw pitch for the Pawtucket Red Sox, in terms of just pure talent, Buchholz is the guy. And to be honest, for the Red Sox in general, Buchholz might have had the best talent in terms of the best stuff. Just never could put it together, unfortunately. The last pitcher that was an honorable mention for me was Frankie Rodriguez. He was drafted in the second round in 1990 by the Red Sox. 2 seasons with the PawSox, but his real full year was 1994. 3.92 ERA, not great, but fine. 186 innings of work, 28 starts. But he struck out 160 batters, which is actually a franchise record, and it led the International League that season. And he was actually a top 50 prospect and for quite some time, for a couple of years, and he was actually top 10 prospect shortly after he was drafted in 1992. He was listed number 9 overall by Baseball America, but didn't really pan out too well in the major leagues. 5.53 ERA and 654 innings of work. Boston actually traded him in 1995 for Rick Arugula. Yeah, didn't mispronounce that name, but closer from the Minnesota Twins, who came over and posted a 2.67 ERA and 30 in the third innings of work with 20 saves and 30 outings for Boston down the stretch. Ended up going back to Minnesota the following year, but there's definitely some honorable mentions. Different Hennersack. Jalen Beeks had a really good year for the PawSox. You go back every year, there's always a guy that kind of stands out. Last year, there wasn't really anyone that, maybe Kyle Hart, but you sort of look at it and you kind of want to do something that's more historic. The most recent pitcher I named was Hector Velasquez. Prior to that, Anthony Renato. I tried to go a little bit older where people might not realize, who these players even are at this point. So I thought that was kind of important to do as well, because there is definitely a recency bias when you do like an all-time type of thing. That's sort of the reality. So look at the stats and see who popped up, and these were the 6 players that I thought went over the top. The next one we're going to do here on Trifecta Sports is the all-time bullpen players for the PawSox. Not sure on the logic of that yet, but they'll be dropped in the next couple of days, probably tomorrow, depending on how things pan out in terms of the research part of it. But look for a guy like Ryan Brazier to potentially be on it. Definitely some recency bias there, but 2 seasons ago, Brazier was just absolutely incredible for the PawSox, and maybe even Ty Butcher. I mean, there definitely some recency bias on that before even looking at the numbers, and there's a lot of numbers to dig through, and there's definitely a lot of talent to come through in the bullpen, and excited to start digging on that. So make sure you check out the very latest on the Pawtucket Red Sox on TrifectaNetworkSports.com.